we finally got the revelation of who is this mysterious man that we all were expecting to be a great thing since day one from this series. Celebrimbor and Hellbrand finally made the Rings of Power, and we now know who Sauron really is, okay? All of that and more in this epic finale that just launched now from Rings of Power. So still could be to find more new theories about also the second season. And no further ado, let's go to the review. Okay, just like as I said first, the Mysterious Man was finally revealed in this episode, okay? First off, the first thing that already happens, those trio that it was like they were like peasants for Sauron, they believed that he was Sauron, okay? So we already get this right off the bat. It's like him is being Sauron. So we finally get this revelation. So I was there, okay, he's Sauron, okay, I get that. And I was thinking also, that was my theory, okay, that that Ada said that he divided Sauron by two, literally. So I thought like Halbrand is one half of Sauron, and then the Mysterious Man was like the other half, the one that contained real powers. But as we see the story developing, we see that they are telling the Mysterious Man, you need to develop your powers more, and such on and on. And the only person that has actual powers from those three people is the one in the middle, the one that doesn't speak, I think he doesn't speak the common language, but has blue eyes and it has magical powers. The only one that showed to have real magical powers. And like for example, when the Mysterious Man tries to pull all his power, she puts him to sleep with some magic. So this was a very interesting thing to see. And the hobbits are trying to find him to rescue him, and when he's asleep, they do like a trick so they think that they're trying to rescue the Mysterious Man, but they did sort of a trap. If you watched the episode, you saw that, and then you saw how powerful was him, defeating all of them at once. But as we saw, the power from those three people came also by the staff that they had. So the Furfoot used their skills. There was a very interesting thing to see. We saw them using their sneaky skills to trick the lady. So they got her staff out of their hand. So we saw him finally using tons of power for a person who just discovered that he was so powerful. So he grabs the staff, he destroys, he just annihilates them. And then when they see him being a nice person, they figure out that he wasn't Sauron. He was something else. They said like another word, not the common word, like I think that represented who he was. And then he just destroyed them. The transformation of their destruction was so amazing. We saw them becoming like butterflies, something like this. They were destroyed, become butterflies. It was beautiful to see. Great visuals that we had in this part of the show. And then we get a revelation later that he was an actual mage. It was a thing that I was before imagined. Like he was an actual mage, and who he is, we don't know. We know about 5 mages of all the Fire Realms. We have Gandalf, we have Saruman, we have the other one that we see that is a friend of Gandalf, which is a guy who loves animals, such. And there are the two blue mages that we know. They're the only ones that we actually know. There are living mages. And it can be any one of them. I don't think it's gonna be Gandalf, because I think it was a bit too tricky. Even though they put like a little bit of reference when they're going out in an adventure. Naughty is going out. She separates from the hobbits because she's such an adventurous person, and she separates from the Furfoot and goes together with the Mysterious Man, with the mage. And then the mage, I think after he uses his power, he just rubs something in his mind. So now he can talk, he can, he remembers some stuff, and he's going to that place that the 3 people said that he needed to go, at least if it was Sauron. So I think he's going somewhere really important now. And then there's a thing that they put this reference from Gandalf, which was like, there's an adventure under your nose, or something like this. It was an expression that Gandalf used to Frodo. So we were wondering, like, is he actually Gandalf? But I don't think so, okay? I think a lot of people will be mad. I won't be mad if it is, okay? I don't think there's any problem modifying a little bit of the story about the hobbits, because if you see Game of Thrones, they modify a lot of things to fit in a TV show, because if they used everything that George R. R. Martin wrote to do Game of Thrones, it would be like 12, 20 seasons, something like this. It would be insane. And then we see Celebrimbor finally developing the rings, and then we already saw that Halbrand was going to a darker path that we needed to have. My only contrary thing about this episode that I have a critic about is that the thing about Halbrand getting so bad, it was happening throughout this episode only. I think if they developed this at least at the half of the last episode to this one, I think will be a little bit more natural. I even though the mysterious things that he's been pulling, it was a very interesting. So of course there was a lot of things about to say about him, like who is this person, such a mysterious person that was so skilled, and he was like the king of the Southlands. So this was a thing that the internet didn't think it was right. So a lot of theories came out, and I believed in that. So he helps to develop the rings with just that mithril stone. So he comes up with some knowledge about he's a guy who does craftsman things and so on. He does armors, and there's swords, and so he has some knowledge of it. So he gets his military said, "Oh, you need some materials to develop a greater thing, so it can make their powers better, it can amplify their powers." So they cannot develop something big, so they just develop something small. They said like a crown, but way smaller. So a ring is the closest thing that they needed to do. So they were developing like two rings, someone to divide the power and to control it. And then there's some time that Galadriel was going out in the yard, and then she receives a letter that saws all the lineage from the Southlands king. And you know what? The last lineage died 1,000 years ago. So he said, like, you stole that. Like, he has a symbol in his armor that indicates that he is the king. So when she gets this symbol, she's like, you stole that from who? And then he gets all feel like, oh, but I didn't tell you that I might have stolen it, something like this. And she was, who are you? And I was already jumping out of my chair. So when she tries to kill him with his dagger, he holds up and he just say, I was called by many names throughout the years I was alive, since there was no sound. I was already chilling. I was like, Jesus Christ, he is actually Sauron. And it made sense. Of course, it made a lot of sense. It was a great revelation that we're already seeing the development of such an iconic character. For me, who is a Lord of the Rings fan, seeing his development is so great because he was completely mysterious. So who is this guy? So we're gonna finally see a little bit more. We already saw a little bit from this show, and we're gonna see even more throughout the next season. Of course, you have the books that people have to read it. Of course, I will read it sometime. I just bought the Silmarillion to read it. But there are some people who don't know about the all those things. So we gotta keep new readers coming. So a little bit about his history, because he was defeated. Another killed him, and then he was developing his anger. He used his power against Galadriel, showing some places that he was. And she was seduced because she was, it's like she was exposed to his evil, side. So she was getting closer to him, liking a lot of him. So when he showed like, you can be my queen, to develop, because he thinks that he's doing some good. He thinks that he is, making the world better, of course, by his own terms. And she tries to see that, no, it's not like that. But she has had some feelings with him. So it was a thing that she was a little bit concerned about. She showed him it was amazing, was the reflection of them together. He with his amazing armor, with her as a dark queen. All of that, which seduced her a little bit, of course, but she knew it wasn't right, and seduced her with all his mind powers. It was so amazing to see how powerful he actually was. So he was really powerful. He just didn't show his powers as a human per se, and showing that he manipulated her all the time. He was such a clever character. So he you see finally the thing that pay off. So if you want to see this first season again, you can check all of these details, because it's so amazing. And we see at the end that he was going to Mordor. He just left. He disappeared, and then Celebrimbor was starting to build the rings, and this amazing thing happened, which they needed. The greater the purity of the silver and the gold that they could have, they needed, and the only place to get there was in Valinor, but they couldn't reach Valinor. But there was a person who had some of these materials, which was Galladriel, who has his brother's blade with her. So she needed to do a sacrifice for the greater good. So it was a thing that she needed to let go of from the past, and she wasn't ready to do it, of course, and also because she let the evil grow, which was Halbrand, which was Sauron, growing in the sides of her. She didn't thought about that. So when she finally realized that, I think she made a choice of having some sacrifice a part of it, and she had the great idea to make another ring so we could divide also the power, so it wasn't that powerful the other ring. So you have three powerful rings together, so they could also manipulate the power that they wanted to have. And then we see that Halbrand, as I said, he was going to Mordor, and he's gonna probably craft the One Ring there, who's gonna start the whole war that we see in the beginning of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Jesus Christ, I am so pumped. And of course we saw Numenor also, who the queen came back to some things, but we didn't see a lot of development there. We saw the girl who was talking to the king to go and see the future of Numenor, but it wasn't the only thing that we ever saw. We don't see more of Arondir and all of those characters, but I think the story was done, at least in this season. I don't know if they're gonna appear in the next one. I hope, because I loved Arondir in this season. I love the show. I had a love and hate relationship with this series because I wasn't expecting that much, but I saw the first episode and I was into it already. And throughout all of those episodes, you see some downs, okay, and some people who are criticizing the show because of that. But I have an opinion, because if you see something that is not good in some part, you're gonna just forget it. If you see Breaking Bad, is one of the best shows of all time. It had 5 seasons. The first season isn't the best series, isn't the best part. You need to hold on to the show so it gets better every time. So the third season is the best, and then the fourth season is great. The fifth season is amazing. So you need to hold on to that. So we see, of course, we have huge expectations. It cost $1 billion the show, so we have high expectations of the show to develop and being good. But we need to see the whole thing, at least the whole season. So we see the beginning, which was amazing, which was growing. And then it was a little downfall, at least in that part of Numenor, which I get it. It was a little bit, hard to watch. But you need to see, need to understand that the story was developing. Then we saw the sixth episode, which was crazy. One of the best episodes of a show this year. Practically, it was great. It was amazing. And then we saw the 9th episode, which was awesome. And then we saw finally the last episode, which made everything make sense. It opens the door for new things to be developed in the next season, and it started new thoughts of like, where is this story going, what's gonna happen. And it closed a lot of doors also, and finished a lot of stories, which was amazing for the show. And I would say firmly that I will give an 8 out of half to this show. Okay, I loved so much. If you are a Tolkien fan, you must watch it. If you're a fantasy or a science fiction fan, you must watch this show. Okay, so I hope you like this video. Okay, if you agree with me, leave a like and subscribe, and if you don't, also do that and leave a comment why you didn't like it. So I'll see you on the next video. Okay, goodbye and peace.